It is Saturday night. Kevin, Ely, and I are back to bring you a brand new episode of The Boom. The world has ended. We now know who is the devil, and we have had 3 brand new champions crowned tonight on AEW World's End. Kevin, how's it going?
It's the end of the world, and I feel fine.
This was a show, Kevin. First of all,
we've not spoken about this at all. Like, it was literally like the show ended, and then it was like, "Hey, when are we going?" So we have not pre-gamed this.
Not even one word. Not one word. So it was an interesting pay-per-view for me because I've been exhausted today. So I watched all the pre-show and about half the early matches. I slept straight through maybe 3 matches, but I woke up fully for the Julia Hart match and everything on. And I enjoyed everything I saw early. I enjoyed everything I saw late. There's a couple things I'm going to go back and watch tomorrow. But I don't know how I feel about some of this, Kevin. I don't know how I feel. I'm going to work my emotions out with you right here, right now. With you, with Larry Sternshine. Also appreciate everybody already showing up in the chat. Looks like we've got 35 viewers right now. Can we make it 37 again? I saw 37. There we go. Right there, Kevin, 37. We're not going to talk about what's happening at the moment. That's right. I want to know in the chat, what was everyone's favorite match, and what did you think of not just the Devil, but the Devil's crew as well. And of course, everybody now knows, if you're here, I don't think it's a spoiler to say the Devil was Adam Cole, like a lot of people predicted. Maybe they should have given this to us a couple weeks ago, just because, man, it took a long time to show us the kingdom.
Yeah.
long build for the kingdom.
Long live the The kingdom is dead.
Shipman.
Long live the kingdom.
There you go. Wardlow was a nice touch. I'll say that.
Little addition. Yeah. At the same time, it was, I'm trying to sort out my feelings, because on one hand, it was like the least surprising option. Like, it was the most obvious thing for them to do.
100%.
At the same time, like, I'm glad that they didn't just scramble to do something shocking that wouldn't have made any sense just to do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm kind of disappointed they didn't come up with something better, if that makes sense.
A little better. Sense. Yeah, a little better.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But it still was, it worked. It worked for me.
It absolutely worked. From Sam, the Devil's Crew wasn't a surprise to me. And then also we had this from Miguel Rubio. Agree with Sam. Mox Kingston was incredible. Yeah, I liked a lot of the early matches, particularly on the buy-in. I don't think that's what they called it. But
0 hour.
0 hour. Thank you very much. Barry Allen says MJF to WWE. That's right. MJF to WWE confirmed right here. That's it.
Now, Barry Allen has broken the Speed Force and
that's absolutely
out the future.
What happened. He knows.
And has come back to tell us. Yeah. Maybe he can go back and prevent Rollout, and we can just get our best selves back into the right timeline.
It was a very good. I really did enjoy the match, the main event, a lot. Again, until I know I don't love the Devil's Crew and the Devil, because I'm not excited about it. And when the match came off, I thought, oh, I guess everybody was right. And but at its core, Wardlow, Adam Cole, and was am I incorrect in saying old boy was in there with the neck, with
Roderick? There was Taven Bennett, Roddy, and Wardlow.
If we could just lose Taven and Bennett, I know they're good wrestlers, I'm well aware. But also, for anybody new watching me right now, I have a serious sleep disorder, which makes me forget names a lot. So,
sorry, it's a game we play.
That's gonna happen a lot. At some point, Kevin, you and I are gonna be unbeatable.
We'll have to go on a password or whatever the game is. Yeah, it'll be a great party game. I'll just be able to read your face and know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Oh, so man. So apparently, I'm sorry. I want to throw this up here right now. Sam says, thanks for not disabling your chat like the AEW media scrum.
I don't blame him today.
Oh, man. Okay, go ahead, Kevin. Sorry. Let's get serious here.
Oh, no.
That's something we can do.
My takeaway from tonight is, okay, like, everyone's sort of like, okay, great. It's kind of what we expected. It happened. Everyone's relieved that it happened. Finally, we have some direction. But like, what do we do from here? Like, it doesn't. To me, it's like the fact that it didn't end with one of like the Devil's Crew does not have the world title, right?
Right.
They took out MJF, but like the whole point of this, I thought, was for someone to win a title. So like now, how is this crew now going to show that they're on a higher in the pecking order than like the Callis family or, BCC or so these other factions? Like, it's just great. You have a new faction, and the new faction is people who were a joke act like 3 days ago. Yeah. So I like the fact that they all were like stern and serious, and like, Roddy didn't have the glasses.
Was this a Dark Order callback? Is that what that was?
Maybe that was.
Yeah, I think so. It's almost there. And the big problem, I think, sorry about that. The big problem, I think, for me was the one guy in the faction who you could put the title belt on can't wrestle.
Can't wrestle right now.
It's not going to be wrestling for who knows how long.
Yeah.
He's simply the mastermind.
Right. And there's and that seems to be how they're positioning him, literally. Yeah. Because he's sitting in the chair. Yeah. I did like that reveal when he came with the lights and he's sitting in the chair and he's just got he plays that really well. He had that boot on, that strap on boot, wasn't a plaster cast or anything, but like, there's lots of speculation of like, was he really hurt this bad? Was it an injury? But they were playing it out. And so, like, to me, if I'd been thinking that he's not as hurt as they've been playing. Yeah. But to me, if he's able to do anything right now, they would have done it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
If he could have super kicked him with that cast, he would have. Or if he could have revealed, or like Garrett, as Garrett Gonzalez called us, they didn't give us the Kaiser Soze moment where he takes the cast off and he reveals that he doesn't, his limp is fake.
I wondered that. After the lights came back on. By the way, overdoing it with the lights, really. Yep. Yep. Wait, what do we have here?
Larry, it's good to have
Larry. You just made my night. Also, Mel G, welcome to the chat. Glad to have you here. Oh man, there's just so much. There's so much there. What did you think of the match, Kevin?
It was good. He's, MJF's just got such a simple.
Oh no.
We're gonna pause for a second.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, I made an open call to anyone who wants to run in.
I'm bringing her in right now.
Guest. Oh,
what?
Sorry, we both clicked it. Hi.
You guys, you just like clicked the thing at the same
time. We're both trying to get you in so bad. Okay, Mel, what did you think of the main event?
I mean, I thought the main event was okay. So
when everyone has to pause and think for a second.
No, because it's a little tricky when you start living in this world we live in, and you start to like be someone who gets information.
Yeah.
You get for months. I mean, someone people don't understand that like long-term storytelling is something that in the wrestling business is something that's sort of part of the business of the inside. Is that someone could tell you something 18 months ago and then suddenly it shows up on a show.
Yeah.
And so in this case, it wasn't that many months ago. And I had somebody say something to me that led me to believe that this outcome might happen. And then I ran it by somebody else I trusted, where I said, did you hear this? And they said, yeah. And I went, huh. So I was like, all right. So I was mostly, I was basically prepared for this outcome. Like, I hate to say it, but but I'm a nerd. So from an outside perspective, like from a strictly, and I remember this every day. I remind myself every day because I will go out in public. Okay, I'll tell you what I told Sam. You guys will both appreciate this. So I went to my local library, which is tiny, and I live in a tiny town. And they have one wrestling book. One book. Okay. It's from 2011.
Okay.
It's the WWE 2011 Guide to the Superstars. And it's filed under youth. And it's filed under youth adult nonfiction.
Youth adult nonfiction.
Youth adult nonfiction. And every time I try and like get really serious about this thing, I remind myself that the tiniest library in the world still qualifies this as young adult nonfiction.
Yeah.
And as someone who worked in a bookstore and worked the kids section, because I just have a predisposition to being a caregiver on that level, I was like, that brings me great joy.
Yeah.
And I think it's something people need to remember. Yeah. So when tonight happened, like, long story really shortened, it was like the possibility had been opened up to me. So when it presented itself, I was not surprised. But I thought that given the fact that I knew what was going to happen and the kids didn't and probably enjoyed the outcome because it was a good change, because this was a big change from what we've been dealing with. I just felt like, yeah, good job. Like, I knew what you guys were doing. You got there. You brought me there. It makes sense. The long-term goal of this, which will make itself clear in 2024 to people, I think will actually be better. Okay. I think also I'm one of the I think you guys are in the half dozen plus on the Fight Game Media Network of us who think that Max has signed and just like we're there.
We're there.
So
I have a real life example of what you're talking about because, you know, I've been detailing every week my daughter's journey of being a very casual.
Yes, Francesca's journey is. I'm last week you said I made sure and remembered her name this time.
Oh, I think that's sweet.
No, you don't, Brad. It's you and Brad particularly. Brad, who's our listener and follower. But I love, and I've talked to Sam about this a lot because it's just my background also, is that I love hearing what it's to me, and I think in the community, I think in our Fight Game community, in the Discord, and we're always like James and you every week. It's like, what'd she think about it? What'd she think about it? Even the day you were there, like, half of what was going on that was fun about that thread was all of us finding out what Francesca thought about every little detail.
Yeah.
100%.
Like those of us who care about wrestling, like she's the one who's going to be in the future getting her kids to be nerds about this silliness.
Maybe it hasn't quite taken yet. So
these are the first step. It's baby steps.
It starts and then they take a big pause and then they come back to it. That's kids.
That's what's fun about it, is sitting and watching it through the eyes of someone who really is not that invested in it at all. Right.
And you're not pressuring her. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Like, whereas a lot of people would try to like inflict or like try to live vicariously. Sorry,
that's how my wife sees
it. I feel like you two understand that feeling on some level. But like in her case, and in the case of someone like Kathy, Brad's daughter as well, and even Emily, it's very organic. It's not that their dad said come be a wrestling fan. It's that my dad's a wrestling fan or my mom's a wrestling fan. And I started to tiptoe in there.
Yep.
And I picked the things. What I love about you guys, especially her and Francesca and Kathy both, is like they pick their own things. And they may not be the same things as you.
No. That's what's funny. Yeah.
Even better.
So it's really fun.
Like you're watching each other.
Right. And so watching it through her eyes is a completely different, like being in the Discord discussing the minutia with, people my age with my experience who have so much history and you can just drop culture. Right. And then at the same time, just watching with her, who's like, if it bores me, I'm going to leave the room, is so fun. And then tonight, especially because she actually is invested in MJF as a character. Like she got into him because of the scarf and because, Mid got over on TikTok. Right. So that was like a year and a half ago, but now, so she would ask about him, and so she's actually invested. She watched All In main event with me. All In, and so she knew the Adam Cole storyline, and she knew the thing about MJF being a jerk who, was redeemed by his friend and discovered the true power of friendship and all this stuff, but she still likes the idea that he's a jerk. And, so she's like into it. And then, then tonight I'm sitting here, like you said, getting little bits of information here and there. This is going to happen. That may happen. There might be these people, but I'm not sharing any of it. And so tonight she's like, do you think he'll win? She calls Samoa Joe the Cookie Man.
I know. I love that.
She's like, you think, she's like, what if the Cookie Man's the devil? And I was like, the Cookie Man could be the devil, but he's just working with him. And so then tonight when he lost, she was shocked. Like, just like, what? I mean, does that happen? This is the first time she's seen like a big major world title change, And I'm like, yeah, I know, whatever. And then when Cole, she's like, oh, his friends can, and then when the lights went, I mean, it just, to see someone go through and not be like the reaction to the lights going out and not the reaction, not being, here's what I think is going to happen. Instead the reaction being what's going to happen is so like refreshing. And so that part was really fun because, sometimes I think we get so caught up in like critiquing as we watch.
Agreed.
Go ahead.
You go. No, you go.
I was just going to say the one thing that I'm really going to take from tonight is my sheer disappointment at the ending of the library story, because I was really hoping it was going to be you running in the library, slapping your hand down the desk saying, give me everything you've got on Adam Cole, and working it out on like the board behind you with the strings.
Like Morgan Freeman in Seven.
Dude,
just like,
that would have been great. It took me like, okay, so and bless it, because like the whole state of Michigan has a library cooperative and my library is part of it. But they have like their two biggest, like most important books are Dave's Tributes 1 and 2 books. And it took me, I had to order them through the big catalog, the state catalog, and it took them 2 weeks to get here. And I love it now because, I mean, I'm like card catalog age. I'll date myself easily and happily.
Me and you both.
So I'm like, I can go online and from my living room, I can like order the thing. And if it's any library anywhere in Michigan has it, and I was like, I looked up a lot of stuff. And the 2 Dave Meltzer books they have in the whole cooperative are Tributes 1 and Tributes 2. And I have one in my possession right now. It took me 2 weeks to get it.
Dedication.
I had to renew my loan into January so I can sit through it because I'm that nerd. But I want to read it. And oh man, I could go on forever because it's got pictures. And I wasn't like into the nerdy part. When it had like, so I didn't do magazines. Like I have friends that were magazine nerds, but like I didn't do periodicals for wrestling. I did it for my stuff, but not wrestling. So it's been really fun.
Beat. You were reading Teen Beat, weren't you?
Oh, Bop, Teen Beat, Tiger.
Bop. Tiger
I
Rag.
am shamelessly like, I don't care. Tiger Beat and Bop were my other than Entertainment Weekly, of course, which I enjoyed, and like, because I just I figured out that the people's most beautiful people was the work immediately.
Yeah.
Like I knew I was a wrestling nerd. I just didn't figure it out until the last like
that's what I tell people. Yeah.
5 to 7 years, I would say.
I truly believe that if you have a friend who you can speak to about anything, politics, whatever, in wrestling terms, you can get to the root of a matter so much more quickly. Like so much more
Everything's
quickly.
a work. Everything's baseline is a work.
Yeah, everything.
The amount of times I have to explain a wrestling metaphor to someone in my workplace and have them go, yeah, I understand that,
Yeah.
So you guys will love this. I was hanging with some peeps back before the plague, and we were doing a pub crawl in Ann Arbor region, which is college town.
Right.
And they were playing shuffleboard, the big shuffleboard, because Michigan is big on bar games. We are bar game capital, like cornhole.
Yeah.
Professional cornhole on TV, partially because of Michigan. Okay, I'm serious. I
just watched the cornhole Super Bowl at Thanksgiving Day.
We have
Shamar Moore was in the finals.
We have a not so secret cornhole league that just ran. It's like pickup cornhole at the brewery that I'm a regular at. It's hilarious, but
oh my god,
it's the dark deep. Someday, different podcast. But the idea here, I think that I was getting to something with that, and now I totally lost my train of thought because it's that time of night. But I think it all came back to the idea of like everything being like having that like underlying work where it's like you can see it and you know how it functions, and I think it's a valuable skill. I mean, it'll be good for your daughter because she'll be like, okay, at least I know if you don't know who the mark in the room is, it's probably you.
that's great. Yes, I need to write that one down.
That's a great place to start from.
Yeah,
you need to wake her up tomorrow with that one, Kevin. Like bring her a cup of coffee and be like, I have a valuable life lesson for you.
Yes,
honey, you need to hear this.
Sit her down with Mel. I'll set up a call.
If you guys want to kick me off anytime, let me know. But I'm here otherwise.
No, you're good.
So I'm good.
We're waiting for the rest of the cornhole revelations.
I mean, I'm here for it. This is not a joke, James. I have a friend whose adult son is a professional cornhole player.
My God, he's got to be good.
He is good too.
Okay. I've got more Michigan questions, by the way. I have a sister-in-law who's from Michigan, and there's a lot of crazy. I'm trying to watch my language. A lot of crazy things she does that are supposedly Michigan things, and I don't believe it. I think she's
pure Michigan
crazy.
Things.
She's pure Michigan.
Pure Michigan. That's our.
Is that it?
So back in I think the 90s ish. They started the campaign, and I know you guys get this because you've lived in states where they had to run the campaign for the state to come visit our random state that no one gives a F about.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So Pure Michigan was, and back in the late 80s, 90s, they started running a big thing. And I remember because I'm from Southern Maine, so I remember the campaign running in my area because I'm also from a state that's obviously a seasonal, tourist state. So they were hammering us like, you want to come visit our state. And so it's so funny because ultimately I end up here. And they have, when you enter the state, because I do a lot of, we leave for Ren fairs by car and then or Ren fairs and wrestling shows. So all carny shit all the time.
Right. That's the name of your next podcast.
Okay.
Ren fairs and wrestling shows.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
okay, cool. And I have plenty of people that I can bring onto it. Because you guys would all love to come meet my Ren Fair talent people just as much as the wrestling talent people that we all get to meet.
I'd be
but anyway, that's again another podcast. We'll be here all night. Yep. But so pure Michigan is very much so anytime something happens like that, like so Excalibur's from Michigan, Danhausen's from Michigan, Allison Kay is from Michigan, Motor City Machine Guns are from Michigan, Motor City Wrestling. You guys may or may not be voters, but you should definitely get on board my Motor City Machine Guns in the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame campaign.
Absolutely. Oh, 100%.
So
I'm not a voter. Well, but I play one on podcasts.
Listen, you could be one at any moment, though.
Yeah, you never know. The magical thing of the owl shows at my house, and
I really should have pursued.
You're a smart person. This is like the first time This is the first time you and I have ever gotten to hang out together on a thing.
That's true. What? I feel like it hasn't because we listen to each other so much,
and you have taken my spot when I've gone to my dorky Ren Fair stuff. When I switch up my dorky wrestling stuff for my dorky Ren Fair stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate it. But you and I have never gotten to hang out together. And sometimes I'm like, that guy and I could nerd out for hours.
Yeah.
But
that's how this show started.
What this is about. Okay. I know Larry had things to say because he even said in the Discord he had things to say. So
yeah, Larry, if you wanna hop on,
oh, you just popped him on there.
Oh, I popped on his latest comment from the
Tony Storm will only answer questions if the person gives her a New Year's resolution.
Followed by
well, that's too bad then because I reject resolutions. I don't believe in resolving. I believe in evolving.
Wow.
So,
okay.
I think that you don't. I make New Year's evolutions, not New Year's.
I'm a New Year's revolution type guy.
Because I think, don't set yourself up for failure.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of which, a lot of people thought Eddie Kingston was being set up for failure against Jon Moxley, and he pulled it out anyway, as I think a lot of people in our circle predicted. But man, even though we kind of knew what was going to happen, it was a great ride. It was a great ride. The hug afterwards, all that, it was fantastic.
It was. The yellow boots.
Yeah. Yeah.
The little things like that.
It was the right thing to do, and it was the right person to do it with, because we all know that Jon Moxley didn't need that Triple Crown. And for all the things that have been going on for the last several months, we can't deny that the C2 has been an overwhelming success that we need to see more of. And
it's been my favorite thing of the year. Easy.
Totally. They got back on track. It almost seemed like they were listening to us.
Almost.
Told you one of them's listening. One of them's listening.
It was kind of like you said, you were mentioning earlier about when you hear things or you spend time predicting things, I think sometimes you can trick yourself into not being enthusiastic about an outcome because it's the most obvious one. And so Eddie going through this, putting the belts on the line and going through all the way to the end, coming into the underdog, finishing fourth in points out of the five semifinalists, and then beating the guy he's never beaten in the history of the show and it's had a 3-year rivalry against to win it is oh, well, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
But it's also awesome.
It was great. And I really appreciate that his first 2 wins in AEW came against Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley here. It's very impressive.
It finally eked out a couple of wins.
Exactly. Yeah. Just they were at the right time,
Took a while.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not counting all the Japanese ones because those don't count in storyline here in America. But I think it was the right thing to do. And sometimes the simplest answer is the right answer, and that's okay. And I think wrestling, especially in a day and age when we're always constantly way overthinking it, and you could have delivered it kind of half-assed, but they actually which you knew. I mean, it's those two. They're good. They're friends. They're smart wrestlers. Like, they're gonna bring the noise. They did it. It felt good. Like, I'm glad that it was.
Did the ending surprise you guys? Like, I was like not ready for it. Like when it happened, I was like, "Oh,
at the
that
like
just
the
ended."
timing of the ending.
Yeah. Timing wise, yes. It almost felt like he was following a like a backstage, like a stage management. Like I was a stage manager, so like there was a plan. There were marks that you had to hit. It almost felt like that might be going on.
Right.
But it's AEW, so
right.
That would be just silly.
Miguel Rubio says Kingston's defeated every member of the Blackpool Combat Club. I did not.
Mox was the last one.
Realize that.
He had to beat.
Wow.
He had already beaten Yuta, and he had to beat. He had never beaten Claudio, and he had never beaten Danielson. And both of them had wins over him. Well, no, he had beaten Claudio. Sorry, he beat him for the title, but.
Well, even John Muse had mentioned at one point as like, we need to come out of this with like the storylines that have been built, like preserved. And I think that this match leaves you that ability if you can mold that.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
That's a good one. That's fun to work with. You could mess with people's minds where it's like, I beat your whole faction.
Just me.
I'm really disappointed with myself that I didn't take some time before we went live to calculate what number belt the Continental Crown belt is. I think it's number 28.
But doesn't it subtract? It's 28 minus 2.
That's right.
That's true. So it's actually negative. It's a negative number of titles.
But they did say he can defend each belt individually.
They did say that?
Yes, they did say that.
I think he's right. Yes, they did.
Okay. Yeah. So
I kind of like that because to me that adds an element of, it makes it harder, Yeah. It's like that I could lose any one of these at any time. Keeping the crown together is like, like a goal in itself. That's
I kind of want to see the AEW Continental Championship go head to head with the AEW International Championship.
Maybe they could combine them into an intercontinental championship.
It could just be
that now.
The triple crown becomes the quad crown, and it just keeps growing out.
What kind of cockamamie idea is that?
It'd be like the Trapper in South Park.
I heard of
Continental.
They used to do it in Brazil. There was a tournament once. I heard about it.
Oh, I read about that. Yeah.
Was it a North American Championship that had China on it?
Yeah. Or it was the what was the name of that one that was before the International?
Oh, it was
All Atlantic, the All Atlantic title, and had the Japanese
That's
flag.
What it was. It was All Atlantic, and it had like 4 Pacific nations, and I'm like, almost had
I guess, almost.
I mean, they rub up against each other in small places, but sure.
Yeah, this is an all ages. This is an all ages podcast, Sam.
Yeah.
Or Mel. Sorry about that, but I don't remember where I was going now.
Do you want to keep going backwards, or?
Yeah, let's go backwards to Christian Cage beating Adam Copeland after Adam Copeland beat Christian Cage.
Speaking
again, multiple champions. Is Luchasaurus only going to get saved when they allow Jungle Boy back on the air?
Oh no.
Is that going to be his savior? Is it going to be Jungle Boy using real glass?
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, I hope not.
Should I go first? Because if someone says kill switch one more time, you might trigger mine.
Switchosaurus.
There you go. That's the name from here on out.
Like, what is that? And why are we continuing to like Sam and I on Power Bombshells decided that a couple things should happen, and one of them was that the Golden Jets should go away forever. And when Kenny comes back. No one should ever we should just it should just drop away.
Yeah.
Like no one should ever speak of it again. And
what if the diverticulitis is all a work just to end the golden
just
jet?
to get out of the gimmick?
That's fine. I don't, you know, I wouldn't even care about that. I don't want him to have diverticulitis, but if it's a work,
he's like, hey, Brock, how'd you get that diverticulitis again? Like, how do you get that?
Yeah,
I need something, man.
What are the symptoms?
Have again? Pieces of his intestines removed or anything, so he's totally he's cool. Yeah. He's he needs to
taking a break,
clear the antibiotics and get enough thing and have a poo and get his ass out of the hospital, and he's fine. Send him on his way, and no one can after a while, a bunch of us weird podcasters would be like, whatever happened to the Golden Jets? And then our co-host will be like, shut up. Don't ever say that again. And it'll be fine.
Yeah. I hope there's a random person watching who's a journalist. And tomorrow it's just going to be like, quote unquote, Mel Gray. Kenny Omega should just have a poop and he'll be fine.
That'd be so great. That would be
a poo.
I haven't gone viral for anything.
If anyone can help Mel Gray go viral with this tonight, let's make it happen. Kenny Omega should just have a poo.
Well, I mean, I don't get the misogynist and my Menchie's Lyric and Sam do the really, really stupid oh my god, I could obliterate your you're not even they're cheap heat heel misogynist. I mean, it's so
So what you're saying is the misogynists seem to really love you, in your opinion.
Apparently.
That's one way to look at it.
Or either that or I'm too boring to get on their radar yet. So, which is fine.
I think they love you. So what did we think of the match? What did we think of Shayna? What did we think of Nick?
I think this.
Any opinions?
When this match started, I thought, oh man, this show is not that fun. Really? It was just kind of boring. It wasn't bad. I wasn't mad at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it was just the mood of the day or the crowd just was, I don't know. It was just New Year's, a holiday. It was just kind of okay. And then they came out and freaking tore it down.
Yeah.
I got super pumped.
I was about to say, man, if everybody feels that way, it might have just been I was happy to be awake. And I really liked that match.
Oh, I love the
match. I was surprised how much
I
liked the match.
Yeah. What'd you say?
I was surprised how much I liked the match.
Oh, yeah. I was too, because I've been such a Adam Copeland hater since he came back. I wouldn't even say hater, just ambivalent.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't looking forward to this match at all. I didn't care one lick about it. And when he came out in the gear that he wore during his WrestleMania match where he went through the flaming table, and they pointed it out.
How did you know that? They pointed it out. I missed that. That.
They didn't mention that he went through fire in that outfit, but they did say this was the gear he wore at a famous match against Mick Foley that people still talk about to this day. And I was like, oh crap, there's going to be fire. And so they
started chanting for it.
Yes, they started chanting, "We want fire," because they set up the table in the same place that they meant to show you what they were going to do. And I was like, okay, this is going to be fun. And it's that weird thing that I'll always be fascinated by and never understand in wrestling, that of how people who the closer they are as friends, the more awful things they will do to each other on live television because they trust each other.
Uh-huh.
Those guys went all out.
And now in 20 years, we're going to see Nick Wayne come to the ring in those black pants.
And that hoodie.
Like, oh my God.
That's the hoodie he wore at World's End in 2023.
World's End, when he set his butt on fire.
Yeah, when he went over to the top of a table and almost missed it.
Sam and I earlier had a fictional, we had a hypothetical where Beth Phoenix showed up to help on this one to kind of help Mother Shayna kind of hone
cool.
her skills, because and I asked Sam, I was like, can she do that? And she's like, yep, she's not under contract to anybody. And I tend to believe her because she knows that stuff.
Yeah. I always assumed she was on some legend.
So we had a whole hypothetical where she could potentially drop in for this, but I thought what they did was really like good. It was better than what I expected, because I mean, we had both the dream of hearing Excalibur scream, "It's the Glamazon," and also just like it was like that would really help Mother Shayna learn how to do stuff that she could need to do in this angle. But they did a good job. I thought it was like
Does anyone know if Shayna Wayne had done anything? I mean, she's married to a guy who had a school and a promotion, and like, had she done wrestling?
I don't know.
Any kind of angle.
I don't know that.
I didn't get the impression from Dave and Brian on that Observer Radio that she had a ton of experience doing this. So they kind of had
because she doesn't actually have to do anything. She just sort of is like, okay, at this point, make sure you're by this turnbuckle. And, and I even liked how they used her. There's no DQ matches. It's always like the question is like, why doesn't Nick Wayne just join in the entire match, to help him win?
Yeah.
But like, I liked the fact that they held him back and he didn't get involved until Edge started threatening Mother Wayne.
Like,
once she interfered and he like looked at her and gave her the look that, that you don't like to see, then he was like, then Nick Wayne gets involved. So it's like, it's not even, I like that part of it, even though it's kind of a noble thing to do, I guess, is help your mom. And maybe he shouldn't be doing that, but this is a complicated story.
Helping his mom.
It is. It's a complicated family dynamic.
Yeah.
Co-parenting is never easy.
No.
It isn't. It isn't. This is some very modern storytelling they're telling.
Oh man. Okay. Julia Hart Abaddon. What are your thoughts on that one?
I'll go first. No, I'm serious. I was excited about this. We were excited about this. We talked about this earlier, is that no matter how this match played out, and we obviously thought Julia Hart was going to retain here. It was pretty obvious. But at the same time, it was like, it's nice to finally see different people on different women, different people on wrestling in the women's division. Even though Abaddon, like, they identify as non-binary. It's like, but it doesn't matter. And they've made it very clear that they don't mind being called her because they know they're wrestling in her division, and that's fine and whatever. And so it's not something that bothers. This is Abaddon's first pay-per-view. That's a big deal. Like, not like a pre-show. That's not 0 hour.
Right.
Yeah.
An actual pay-per-view, and for a belt, and Julia Hart has been a breath of fresh air. Even she may not be the perfect champion, but she's a different champion than they've had so far, and it's like getting more diversity in the women's division on there. And it wasn't just thrown together. They actually, for the last few weeks, have made a story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of it being like, for 2 weeks we hate each other and we're on the pay-per-view or the pre-show. Like, they actually leaned into this one, and it felt like part of the card.
I really feel like they're about to try and make a big move forward with the women's division from the comment we talked about last week. I also really like and the way they're presenting them here. I really like the fact that we had Willow versus Chris Statlander, we had this match, and then we had Toni Storm versus Rio. 5 of those 6 women are AEW originals, and they didn't come from WWE. That just seeing Willow with a win, Julia Hart with a win, and facing Abaddon, that felt really, really good. That they built these women up. They came in, they built them up. It's like Julia Hart especially, I think, came the farthest. and now they're looking good. They're on pay-per-views. They had 3 female matches on this, if you're counting 0 Hour, and I really liked that one. They had a few issues, but I really liked that match.
Yeah, and I did the math just to settle a dumb Discord dispute, but
Okay.
like this is the first time they've had 3 women matches on the show in 13 months.
Okay.
So and then before that, I think there were 2 other pay-per-views that year that had in 2022 that had 3 women's matches, and before that, I think there were none.
Wow.
So this was only the 4th time out of 25 pay-per-views that AEW's done that they've had more than 2 women's matches on it. So,
and then
it's a step forward. And the nice thing was that like one of the matches was, a fairly featured feud, not even a feud, but a story between 2 characters that's not about, some external thing. It's not about some petty BS or a man or some, kind of
passes the Bechdel test.
Yes, and there's some stereotypical,
almost, or at least it comes really damn close.
It comes really close. Stokely talks about them a lot. They just don't talk about him, and it's just 2 stars that are having issues, and who's better, and so that's nice. And there's hints, rumors of trying to sign new talent, of maybe some acquisitions that might be imminent, that
we also
will
just
really boost this back. Yeah, we got Thunder Rosa back, maybe,
and now we've got Thunder Rosa is back, and now we've got the Professor Serena Deeb coming back.
That was exciting. I love that video package.
It's like
I don't understand people who don't love Serena Deeb. I don't understand. And there are plenty of them, believe me, because they're like, burr, burr, burr. I'm like, no, shut up.
Because she's real sports.
Right. Yeah. It's true. You're right. I mean, and that is kind of when it comes to wrestling, believe me, I love me some shenanigans and goofery, but at the end of the day, I'm like, let's have some. Yeah. Still, one of my favorite moments of all time in AEW was the night that Moxley and Max wrestled, and he's like, "Yep, we're gonna see some real wrestling tonight." And I was like, "Yeah, motherfucker!"
You have come up with so many great podcast names tonight. Like, I would love to listen to Shenanigans and Goofery. I would love it.
James, I've managed to name, Power Bombshells was my, I'm not like tooting my own horn too, but that was me. I love plays on words and mashables.
Oh, yeah. You're a podcast naming machine. Once I lose this guy, I'm coming to you. We'll talk.
Awesome. Sweet. It's cool. It's like one of those dungeons. It's like one of those D&D name generators for your character.
Yeah.
But way cooler.
Exactly. Let's see. So there's not a ton to say about Julia Hart Abaddon. I liked it. I enjoyed it. All right, let's talk about the big 8-man tag.
Which one? I'm sorry, you're gonna have to be more
Sting one. The one with Sting, and I slept through this one, guys. I missed the whole damn match.
You did?
Yeah.
It was, speaking of complicated, that was an interesting vibe in that match.
Really?
Yes, because I don't know if you've heard James today.
I've heard nothing
about.
Have you not heard the? Are we going to talk about the controversies?
I don't want to. I don't really.
Please,
I don't want to get into it, but because we did on our show. If people want to, we decided that we would address it a little.
So Jericho is flirting with cancellation, basically.
Very hard.
Oh, really?
Which, to the best of my knowledge, has been on the horizon for some time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
this is not like.
Oh, is this the big thing he got?
The
he was
NDA
getting
thing.
into with the okay.
Yeah, with Hausman and all that.
Gotcha.
So it was just all over the place.
And let's be clear here at the beginning, though. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna say it on your show. I said it on mine. I hope that you would. This is all me. It has nothing. This does not include Kevin Ely or James McDaniel in any way. but Dick Hausman is trash and he can F off. And if you're using a woman's trauma for your clicks and clout, then you can F all the way off.
All the way
off. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of this started on a guy saying something very... It was wildly speculative with no, like, if you were in a real journalism anything, you would need sourcing and you would need information. And he sort of said it in an offhanded, but I know my audience
trash talking way.
He was being a troll.
Yeah, literally.
And
like, well, not literally,
but he was being a troll. And so, like, for me, because the first thing that I thought of as a lady was, holy shit, I hope that this was okay with Kylie Ray, because if it wasn't, F that guy, because he's doing like only slightly worse than the person that actually harassed or did worse to her in the first place. Because you're just literally being like, I know this is happening and I'm going to use it to make myself important online, like Twitter points, someone said in our show today. And if that's the case, I'm not saying
and
that
only
it's not
because
true.
Right, exactly. Sorry, I'll let you finish your thought.
No, it's because clearly there's some smoke to this fire.
Right.
But that needs to be hashed out in a rational and consensual way. That woman got violated twice then if he did what he did. And if that's true and I ever run into him, it might get ugly. So let's hope I never know what he looks like. Because you don't re-traumatize victims. That's
right.
Just
or even try to stir up stuff that someone may have already come to terms with and moved on.
That's none of his It's none of his business.
Especially that all it was doing was just replying to someone talking trash to another lawyer about some dumb punk story. And it's like it's completely irrelevant.
Yes.
So, but anyway, as the internet tends to do, sides were taken, tribes were formed.
What do we call it? The shame court of public opinion that is the internet now.
Right. So, Chris Jericho, if you paid attention to, I knew things were going to get weird when I saw Tony Khan tweet during the Chris Statlander match, his traditional justified "this is awesome" chants for the Chris Statlander match. And all the replies were just people with blue checks going, why is Chris Jericho on the show? Why haven't you fired him? How dare you put him on the show? And thought, oh boy, this could be a little weird. First time ever I've ever heard people boo during Judas when the people are singing. And every time he got in the ring, people stopped booing Don Callis to boo Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
During the match. And it was very bizarre. And you could tell Chris Jericho was not really prepared for it. Didn't really know what to do. I think he genuinely didn't know what to do, because the best thing for him to do would be ignore it. But his instincts are to play into whatever the crowd's doing. So he kind of just had to go through the motions. But I think and also he just didn't look good in the match. He just physically wasn't doing very well, I think.
We felt like if you flip this with the Willow Statlander match, that would have been better, or just leave it off entirely because of what was going on.
Yeah.
But in general, I was surprised. I mean, you heard Kylie Ray chants, you heard NDA chants.
There was a sign prominently displayed in the hard camera section that said World's NDA.
Yeah.
So there were people who were trying to, and in the same way, I'm like, I feel the same about those people who are chanting that. It's like you think you're being supportive of someone, but you're not. You're just using a controversy that involves a human being to boo a heel who's not even a heel. Like you're just trying to play smart.
Well, and you don't know, like, The problem with this story right now, and because like a lot of the reason that speaking out wasn't taken seriously is because it devolved into, you guys might be more into this, is that you guys remember Gamergate? Were either of you familiar with?
Yeah.
So
that was about journalism, wasn't it?
It was extremely about journalism, and it explicitly was a female journalist who was getting favors from male people inside of the it's the same thing that we get a lot, where it's like the only reason that we're here is because we want to sleep with wrestlers or because we want to like get things from them or whatever, and it's like we can't possibly be anything else. And so that was very much in that same vein. And so Gamergate, and women were threatened. I mean, that was a mess. And I see so many threads of Gamergate in the way that women and people who support them and just the entire sort of culture of, it's because we don't know the difference between journalism and media creation anymore. Like there's like, no, it's like some people sign up to be journalists and some people are people that are making videos on the YouTubes. And it's like, this is my opinion versus this is my journalistic thingy and a source thing. But what Nick Hausman did is that he tries to front as a journalist, but you don't wildly speculate like that. And you certainly don't do it at the expense of the survivor of that trauma. And if you're doing that for clicks, then you're garbage anyway. But the entire thing, but because there is a history apparently, and I don't know, I know Jericho's political history, and I'm well aware of his outside the business stuff. And I've also read his books. And you obviously don't talk about that stuff when you write your book because you're not like, and all these sexy women. Like, you're not going to put that in your book.
Right.
But I know a lot about rock stars. And I know a lot because I mean, I've been I worked backstage live theater is most of my like experience. So I have a lot of experience with live performance. Like, you just left out the whole B plot of all the chicks that are involved in that lifestyle. And we all know it because you can't go to all those clubs and do all those things you're talking about and not have chicks throwing themselves at you, because that's just the way that life is.
That's the way that fame works, yeah.
That's exactly. And then, I mean, this even led me to an old like Colt Cabana CM Punk freaking episode of Art of Wrestling where they were talking about women, and I was like, oh, I wish I had never seen that. That made me sad. Yeah, that made me sad about the way they were talking about women in 2006. That's no good.
I kind of have to chime in. Do either of you know who Art Bell was?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, of course.
Art Bell had his he had an autobiography called The Art of Talk, and he did a chapter on women, and what kind of women he finds attractive, and then he just had a random 2-page spread of pictures of women he found attractive, in particular Shannon Doherty. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life. And just wild, and I don't know. I had to throw that in with the.
Oh, that's amazing! I love Art Bell because he
dearly
coast to coast.
Yeah,
he fielded so many of our fun. Our whole conspiracy channel is filled with.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
but
I have a Y-Files hoodie came in today.
It's
in my mailbox. It's in my mailbox. I have to go get it. But yeah.
I really, really, really want to get a Hecklefish plushie.
I keep looking for it and I don't see it in the shop. But either way,
because everyone bought them up. Yeah.
Everyone, if you're into conspiracies, anything like that, maybe the best show I've seen in 20 years.
Yeah.
Mel and Sam introduced me to it. The Y Files on YouTube. They go through whatever topic it is, and they present the story as it's been told. Then at the end, they break down, this has been disproven, this has been disproven, this we don't know about, And it's kind of amazing, especially when you get to topics where they're like, we can't disprove any of this. And either way, sorry for the distraction.
That's
it's fine. You had me on. There was bound to be a tangent or 28.
Absolutely.
This is a show built on tangents, so
that's absolutely true. So
Fantastic.
What about the match? What did you guys think of the match in particular? How did Sting and Darby look in it? Those are the things I'm wondering about since I missed the match.
Darby was Darby. He was crazy. He got thrown all over the place. They did a thing. Was it Takeshita and Hobbs or Bill? It was Bill and Hobbs where they did a, what would you call that? Like
God.
the hammock spot.
Yeah, kind of.
That's just basically threw him across the ring.
That's wonderful.
Ricky Starks, God bless Ricky Starks. He just goes out there and tries to be a star every time, and these things just keep getting in his way. He was trying really hard. Sammy Guevara was trying really hard.
Okay.
But it ended with Sammy beating Starks, and was frustrating to me because during that match, I was like, the match I want to see is Sting and Darby against Bill and Starks for the tag titles. That's the match I want to see.
Oh my God.
And when Sammy beat Ricky, it was like, well, I guess it's gonna be the Sex Gods, which is fine, but I
have no interest. Zero interest.
No interest.
Sting and Darby potentially winning the tag titles, and maybe Sting's last match being with the gold on the line. That's what I want.
I would love that. I normally don't
like
it when someone wins and then you vacate the title immediately, but to me, this is the time you do it.
I want
make
Sting
him chase
to win
him.
it.
Yeah.
Have the titles for a while, win his last match, then you've got your tournament.
Yeah.
You can put
give me
somebody
that.
over. There's plenty of people. You've got Top Flight. You've got Bear Country, whatever they're called now, the Iron Warriors or whatever.
Yeah.
Viking Experience. No, wait. I mean, but it's I don't think they're leaning into every single appearance should be Sting's last appearance in that place, and that should be. And I know you guys have talked about this before, and I know other people that I listen to have talked about this, but they are not leaning. When Muto was going around last year,
everything was special.
Everything was
everybody was broadcast. It was Muto's going to be on our show. He is going to be on here. And we're coming up on our best of. And for as many, I was at Forbidden Door 2, and there were lots of great things about that show. But it's hard for me to say that the Muto Goodbye show, Bye-Bye show, wasn't my favorite show of the year. It just, Noah did an amazing job of presenting it. And the way that they just tick the boxes of all the things you want to see in his farewell tour, and I mean they made kind of a little bit made deals with the devil because some of that stuff's coming back around but it was worth it because he got to showcase being I'm here for the last time, and I'm here for the last time.
Right.
You didn't get to see him, right, Kevin, when you were in
Nope.
But
they're coming back to Tulsa in February, and I think he'll be then.
So pre-Revolution, I guess.
He better be. If he's not there, I'm really pissed because if he doesn't appear in Tulsa,
that's stupid. It's just downright stupid. That's dumb. He should be on every major city for the next until
I was actually
Revolution.
thinking, just like you were saying, I was watching this, and they did mention at the end of the match, they were like, "This is the last time he's going to be in New York." And and the crowd chanted and said, "Thank you, Sting," and he did a curtain call and all that.
Also, something they could have done when tickets were on sale.
Exactly.
I mean, they sold out anyway.
Every time the tickets go on sale, they should be saying Sting's going to be here or he's
Reel
not.
it in. Stop
this
promoting.
is going to be the last time, right? And they better be doing that in Tulsa. And I'm like, because if they really tickets go on sale, I think next week, and if they on the day the tickets went on sale said, this is going to be Sting's last appearance in Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably
or in Oklahoma.
try. Yeah, I would probably try to get ringside seats.
Oh,
like pay the extra, like, because I was like, I've told this story before, you know, that like Sting was the first wrestler I ever got a high five from when I was a kid, you know, to like be able to go to the show and high five him again, you know, it's such like a full circle thing. I would be like, is there a meet and greet? You know, what can I be? Take my money.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of broke right now. So that's like a big deal.
Big statement. Yeah. After Christmas,
a lot of people are.
And it's just like I love that they've already sold 12,000, 13,000 tickets that are going to sell out that huge arena.
Yeah.
Oh, in Greensboro. So Sam is going to that and Lyric is going to that. And Nikki, Sam, because we had a big, long conversation about it. And it was like, notwithstanding the Ric Flair situation, this is Sting's. Like, you have to be at Sting's retirement. And her and all of her pals were like, this is Sting's retirement. That's all we're looking this at.
Yep.
And so they're going to be in, which is funny because they were just there for a smaller promotion, just launching. Darius Lockhart just launched Ashe over there at the Greensboro Coliseum, but I think that's where that's going to be for Revolution. So
yeah.
Oh, here's a really sorry about that.
Go.
Really good comment here from Jakeinator. Mox and Kingston made me feel like I was watching Misawa and Kobashi and Noah in 2003 again. I really was in awe, and the CCW was an overall success, incredible match and tournament.
That's a really good,
he summed it up so well. You summed it up so well, Jake. Really appreciate that.
There's nothing more. I mean, you couldn't say it any better like that. It really did. They need to stick with this concept, and they need to really build around it. It worked. Like, you built your G1. Now do what New Japan does with it, which is they build their whole. Now, listen, they are coming up in a few days, they're going to reset their storylines, and there's going to be a Wrestle Kingdom, and there's going to be a winner, and there's going to be a New Year Dash, and that's going to set up some stuff. And so they do it a little sooner than everybody, but that's going to kind of set the tone for their year. For AEW, I think Revolution is more that show, but we still, at this point now that they've decided to add a 30th show, that's at least a pre-reset for the year when you do that. So we need to see like they built their stories that came out of that tournament.
Yeah.
Do something with them, please.
Yeah, Daniel Garcia is poised to, especially after tonight, you know, when in the getting the win in that other 8-man match. They made a big deal to point out like Claudio and Bryan Danielson like paying really close attention to Daniel Garcia during that match. So like he's ready to do something. Even Brody King, I feel like they could do something with, like, you know, everybody believes that Andrade's gone after tonight, so there's room to do something.
Remember the early days of the BCC when we expected them to keep expanding?
Yeah.
And they didn't? It'd be great if we ended up getting Daniel Garcia in there like we wanted in the very beginning.
And Marina Shafir. And Marina Shafir.
That would be perfect. Yeah.
I
really want Marina in it.
I like big factions like they have in New Japan, where it's like 7-8 guys, and it's more like a training camp, like it's it's an org, right?
Yes,
right.
Yeah,
the best friends Chaos Extended Universe.
They're Chaos. They're Chaos adjacent anyway,
right?
So
it's very it's like fight camps in MMA, you know?
Yeah,
where you really do have 20 people there. And sometimes they move up and they're in the main group, and sometimes they're not so important.
And sometimes they have to fight each other.
I mean, Naito's getting a shot at the IWGP Heavyweight Championship for the umpteenth time, and Los Ignominoles is a huge part of that.
Right. Yeah.
His starting it, his being a part of it, his elevating other people in it. I mean, let's be real. Like, it seems like a weird main event to us maybe, but at the end of the day, it's like he's so important that they need to give him his final run.
Right.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense from a storyline that it's the guy that you groomed to come up and now he's over you.
Yeah.
And you have to prove you can still got it. Like, that's just good stories. I wish we'd get more of that.
Tony sucks at pivoting. He cannot.
He's the worst ever.
He's the bad. Like, I was saying this to Sam today because she was talking about the international championship and how Jon Moxley dropped it to Fenix and stuff. And I was like, but still, that wasn't a Tony call. That was because when you read the Observer, literally Jon Moxley called an audible and said it wouldn't be right for him to drop to do the finish that way with what was going on. So he called an audible. Jon Moxley came up with that finish, not Tony Khan.
Right.
It's better short-term booker by far. As Moxley. Before we move on to this next match, the only one originally booked for the show, which came in at under 10 minutes. Are y'all aware of the Kevin Dunn story?
I did hear that during the
I started to hear it.
I mean, just he's leaving the company.
Just that he's leaving.
Okay.
He put in his notes.
And it likely has a lot to do with Endeavor handing down what's happening rather than Vince. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the only match that was pre-planned that went under 10 minutes, Swerve Strickland and Dustin Rhodes, even though it was originally supposed to be Keith Lee, came in at 9 minutes 30 seconds. What do we think of this one?
It felt longer than that. I can't hate on Dustin.
When did he announce? Like, when was that tweet? I couldn't ascertain. Was that earlier today?
I don't know if it was ever tweeted. It was.
Keith
I
Lee
found out about it.
Keith Lee tweeted at some point over the last few hours. Something to the effect of, I can't promise anything. I've been dealing with an injury since Grand Slam.
Wow.
I'll do my best, but I can't make any promises. To which my brain went, well, if you've known since Grand Slam, why would they give us this match?
Wrestled a few times since Grand Slam.
Well, beyond that, why would you give us this match that we've been all waiting for 2 years? Yeah. If you knew there was a possibility of it getting... And then I didn't, because for me, when I was watching the pre-show was the first I heard, I was like,
I heard right before the pre-show.
So the tweet was 8 hours ago. He said, working with injury, since Arthur Ashe Day 2022. I wonder, I don't think this is the same, but I wonder if this is the long COVID symptoms he was experiencing have kind of popped back up, because he's only really been doing singles matches for a few months now, and only a couple. And that was the reason they were keeping him in tag teams, is because he didn't have the cardio to go that long.
So watching that match with Dustin, I wondered if the plan
I don't think
for the
Dustin
match
had any plan before today.
No, and I wonder if the plan for the match is what they were going to do with Keith. Like, was the plan for the match, let's do this thing with the cinder block and the leg injury so that you don't have to do as much, and it can basically have let's see, Tony confirmed the doctor tried to save Keith Lee from himself. Oh, okay. So someone told him.
It says the doctor confirmed decided to save Keith Lee from himself.
Well,
yeah. I mean, I 8 hours ago he was saying
doctors are supposed to be for.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. If just 8 hours ago he was like gonna do it, and he was worried he was gonna F it up.
Yeah.
I'm glad the doctors made that call. You don't see many doctors.
So I think they just told him. I think I would be willing to believe that Dustin maybe even been the agent or the producer on that match or something.
I bet he was.
And so he probably knew how that match was going to go, and they were like, he's like, I can go in with no prep and do that same spot. And so if it had been Keith, we probably would have seen Keith with the leg injury, and that would have helped explain why he gets such a dominant loss. And so it's fine.
I mean, my feeling was like, at the end of the day, like, they still go to Dustin when they need someone in an emergency. It's like 911, somebody help. Like, and so that was very much a
send up the natural signal.
Seriously. At the end of the day, I was like, they do have that one guy on their roster.
Well, I love that I love that, like, there. Even though when he's never, like, whenever you see, like, backstage footage, like when they did the reality shows, even the Cody show, every time they showed Dustin, he had the makeup on. Like, I just always imagine that he's just back there. He got the makeup. I was like, I'm going to work.
He's in uniform. He's in that building. He's in uniform.
That's right. He's ready to go.
I love that.
I love
That's him.
That.
He's got his boots. There will never be an accusation of Dustin Rhodes not having his gear at any show ever.
I just feel like I see him in an old cab, like from the era of the TV show Taxi. Just bumping around, putting his makeup on the way to the arena. Yeah, exactly. He's like,
that's okay. Honestly, of all the people in wrestling, he's someone I can get behind.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Okay, but this might be the quickest turnover for him, maybe ever. Finding out a few hours before the event that he's wrestling. Let's see what's next here. Timeless Tony Storm with Luther beat Riho. The most important question I have here is this the best Luther we're ever going to see?
Probably.
I think he needs to bring the little screams back. Like, the little screams he would do during his matches, the little girl, high pitched scream. He needs to bring that back and integrate it.
That might work with Timeless Tony.
Yeah. I hope in a couple weeks we'll hear a little one, and then a week or two later we'll hear a little bit more until he just finally goes full Luther and loses his mind at ringside.
He's just a crazed butler.
Yeah. Yeah. He can only hold it together for so long. He's like sweating before he lets out a
like Knives Out moment where he just can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
So Tony is like, as a person who prefers my real sports wrestling, I still just absolutely love her.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I feel like she's not as good as she was before she did the gimmick in the ring.
Yeah.
Because she tries to do too much. I still just love watching her do her thing. So I'm like,
absolutely.
On one hand, I'm like, yeah, just see how far you can take this in some ways. And at other times I'm like, but I'd really love to have an awesome women's world title match.
Maybe as she gets more unhinged, Luther gets more unhinged with her.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't even notice that he's losing his mind because she's so far gone.
They just turn into Grey Gardens.
Yeah.
Codependent narcissism where they can't realize that they're both completely melting down.
Someone needs to send Tony Storm a copy of Grey Gardens so she can watch that documentary.
That's a great idea.
And they can start doing that gimmick. It's just her and Luther.
My absolute favorite moment was when he caught Riho and handed her over.
Handed her to Tony. Yes.
I literally looked at Bob, my husband, and was like a proper valet should do.
Yes. Yes.
I have an important question, Mel. How tall is your husband?
He's 6'2".
Okay. I guess you're very small. And so the picture together, I'm like, he's 6'6" if he's an inch. I'm always sure he's 6'6" or something like that.
He's 6'2", and it cracks me up because we have a picture. So we were in an Evolve show, and Tommaso Ciampa happened to be wrestling at it, and he walked by us and said, because Bob has a beard, my husband, as yourselves. He has a pretty epic beard, and he takes good care of it. He's won a couple contests. I'm not bragging, but bragging. And so Ciampa walked by us. It was so hilarious because it was right before the show, and he's like, nice beard. And anytime anyone does that, we both turn and say thank you because he works very hard on it. So it's like a compliment. So, and it's like Ciampa, we turn around and realize it's like, right, because he had his big old beard. And so, and this was when WWE was being really strict about having their agents and weirdos run in and be like, you can't do that without money. I got a picture with Kushida, and then a bunch of dudes ran in you can't.
Threw the camera on the ground and stomped.
Oh no, they're scary. I learned how to get around them at me and a agent had a stare down when Suzuki was at a GCW show, but that's a separate story entirely. But so this was So he walked by and he was like, "Hey, nice beard." And we were both like, "Hey, thanks." And we turned around, realized it was Ciampa. It was really cool. We were like, "Oh, can we get a picture?" So him and Bob got a picture together, and he's actually taller than Ciampa. And so people are like, "He's billed at 6." I'm like, "He's 5'11".
Yeah.
I've got the picture. He's no more than 5'11". Like, I'm sorry, folks, but they round up on my government IDs because they don't put percentage. Like, right. My joke is that I know I'm taller than Marco Stunt, and he's not wrestling anymore. But when he was, I was at least taller than one active wrestler.
Yeah.
And he was like 4'11".
I remember the first time I saw Adam Cole face to face at a show and realized, oh, wow, you're just a regular guy.
You're just my size.
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked at how, like, I met Keith Lee in New Orleans and he was no more than an inch taller than me, and I'm not very tall. Like, I'm not.
He was not tall. He's big dude, but he's not like super tall dude.
He's massive, but he's not that tall. And they do a good job of making him look tall. I'm guessing it's the boots. I don't think he had boots on when I met him.
Oh, there's all kinds of fun tricks for that. I mean, I've learned all of that stuff. I know exactly where to stand to make me look sort of like reasonably as close to. My favorite thing is when people meet me in person, because I literally get this every time. You really are short.
Like it's just notable.
I don't have. It's apparently my personality and whatever all is bigger than my actual size. Like I used to have girls on my soccer teams who would be like, "You're bigger than her," and I'm like, "I'm literally not." But okay, I believe you.
Now I'm looking forward to meeting you because I'm friends with a number of women who are like 4'11". We need to see if you can.
I'm 5'2" on my government forms.
Okay, on the government.
They round.
Do you know the Liz Phair song 6'1"?
Oh yeah.
I don't know that one.
So you just made me think of that. It's from her first time.
Guys, we were when you guys had your conversation about lady singers the other week.
Yeah.
You
were in there, yeah.
You were cracking me up because I found
just
it funny
two bearded
that
dudes
boys
talking about.
Well, no, not only that, I found it funny that boys and girls had similar experiences with it. Because I only knew other girls that liked girl music until because my husband is a girl music lover. Like he won when he was living in Chicago a thing to see Tori Amos in a studio session.
Oh wow!
And so he got to see her play piano, and he actually talked to her afterwards. And because he was in theater, they had a chat, and he was like, "You were nervous, weren't you?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'm not used to playing in small venues." And so they ended up having like a whole conversation based off that little
wow.
Just because you guys have both done inside, you have done backside of production, everything, so you understand. And so sometimes you notice things that other people don't. It's the reason I became friends with the talent that I know and the talent that I know at Renaissance Festival has everything to do with just knowing how the stuff works. Because we all know the minute it's like my friend used to call it the nerd test. When you're in a room with people that speak the same language.
Yeah.
Moxley made a great point about this. He was like, people don't necessarily understand wrestling language, but if you're smart and you sit and listen to people long enough, you understand what they're talking about. And then you start to put the words together, and it's exactly that. And so it's very much like a lot of my Renaissance Festival friends have come as a result of it's just carny culture is the same across the board. And
let me ask you this, since you brought up the Renfest, have you ever seen or thought about doing Ren Fair wrestling?
Kevin, Ely, you are tapping straight into my heart. So if Bob and I had FU money, we have I have a little my dream journal of what we would do, but because we love all that stuff, we have a plan where we would build an all around, a year round, because you can't run Ren Fair year round.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But every Ren Fair is essentially set up to be a wrestling venue. And Pennsylvania is my favorite location because they have it right there, and they don't even do wrestling. They're missing the boat. They do all kinds of other stuff during the year, but they could run wrestling shows there. But our ultimate idea would be to have a Ren Fair that has a stationary, essentially where you did the joust, would be convertible to a Ren Fair venue for all season. Because especially in Michigan, and John Muse said this to me once, like years ago, when I first started talking to him, and I realized that he was open to having discussions with me about wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, if you want a wrestling show in Michigan, you can find it. Just look it up. And that's not a joke. We are still a territory. There's all kinds of people doing stuff here all the time. And I need to pay closer attention. But I went to a GCW show 2 years ago. I saw Alex Shelley wrestle Nick Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
I saw I got to see the Briscoe brothers last time. They second gear crew.
Yeah.
I have pictures. Yeah. It was like a triple decker, cages, tables, ladders, super duper awesome. I was so lucky because I did get to see them that year before we lost Jay, and I was but it's so, and there are groups out there who are interested because they do Renaissance inspired wrestling stuff at a couple of the fairs we started to check out.
It would be it's so
to me
easy
that would be such
they're the same culture.
Period. Yeah.
It'd be such a it's
really is. And the overlap is silly, and the communities.
Yeah.
Because at the base of all of the there's a lot of stupid, idiotic trolls and people that are using people for clicks. But at the end of the day, a place like this here at Fight Game Media or other place in general, the community is so great. Renaissance Festival is same vibe. Because it's you're all a bunch of nerds who like nerdy stuff. We get dressed up and we drink out of horns. We wear Death Jitsu shirts and cheer for guys in tights. We're all meant to be together.
It's the same thing. Absolutely. I think we need to see a GoFundMe debut pretty soon. And it could be a GoFundMe where it's not just you there giving you money. It's the top tier, you get front row seats and so on and so forth. So they're helping to pay for the event that they want to go to anyway. Yeah. Just
it would be natural.
Yeah.
It would be very natural. And Pennsylvania does stunt falls, and I had a friend who was marking out really hard who was part of the cast that weekend, and he was like, they did 2 stunt falls and pyro and all this, because Pennsylvania has the best joust on this side of the country so far that I've seen out of about 5 Ren fairs on this side. Right there.
I'm fighting.
And and that was one of the talent was coming over to me can you believe it's joust? And I'm yeah.
All right.
Is jousting a work?
It is.
It's all a work.
Really?
But it was so cool because I got to bring a friend who's a wrestling fan to this most recent one because it was his Ren Fair. Technically, it was in his town. It was after his wedding. Our wedding present was to bring them to Ren Fair. And we went to and they have a big arena and it's all set up. And him and I were sitting there and then we're okay, so that's the heel faction over there. Okay, that's the baby faces and they're working for the queen, but the queen is under the enchantment of the evil. They actually did. Smart Ren fairs have storylines.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, speaking of storylines, Tony Storm, who may be under an enchanting by someone we don't know who yet, beat Riho. Again, I think my favorite thing in the match was
I just remember we were talking about Tony Storm and
Riho and handing her over. And any other thoughts before we move on to the loser leaves the promotion match between Miro and Andrade?
The only thing I want to say is that I do love Tony leaning into her like old school 50s the
boots
singlet and the boots
Yeah.
and the whole thing. I will always love that because that's an era of wrestling that I like. I love the history of and think is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
If she keeps doing that stuff, I mean, I think she had to wrestle Riho because it's like prerequisite at this point when you become the champion.
Always.
But she did her good, and it was a lot of fun. And
did somebody earlier say that she challenged Wendy Richter to a match at the press conference? Yeah.
I heard that. At least she didn't get asked about Taylor Swift, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So Miro defeated Andrade, and Tony has now confirmed that Andrade is gone at the press conference tonight. So what do we think of that one?
Gone from AEW?
Yes. Perhaps moving into jousting. We don't know yet.
I would watch the crap out of Andrade jousting.
I would. Me too.
Yeah.
I don't
think
he'd
be easy to hit because his upper body is so wide.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a terrible jouster, and it would make me laugh hilariously.
I don't think
I'd love
Keith
to
Lee
see
would do
that guy
well
get
at it
busted
either.
on the. What's that?
I don't think Keith Lee would do well as a jouster either.
No,
I feel like his horse would be slowed down drastically, and he is just a barrel with a head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You do have to be able to kind of balance it upwards. I think the upper body guys are probably better with the joust. But
let's see. Vinkin Bjorn says it's so crazy she's married to Juice because they're so different.
Oh, Tony Storm.
Yeah.
I would love to spend New Year's Eve with Tony Storm and Juice Robinson.
I bet you they are like. But don't you imagine that they're the normalest couple, inside their house, they're the normalest couple in the world. Yeah. I bet you that they're like, would you like some mulled cider? We'd love to have it. Seriously, I'm not kidding, because that's
with both hands.
Yep.
Unlike Taya and Johnny TV, who had disagreements over dishes and had it out in the ring with a full set of dishes.
That's right.
I enjoy that match.
Because that's a healthy way to resolve your marital issues.
Speaking of unhealthy marital issues, how do you feel about Miro's storyline being, I'm a straight up misogynist? And then the next week, CJ's like, you know what? I actually like that. She's into it.
I'm into it. Yeah.
I mean,
oh my God.
She's clearly had unresolved daddy issues the whole time. So
yeah.
I mean,
okay.
She was just trying. That was total narcissist move, trying to make Miro jealous by going with Andrade. And now that he's gone, I thought I don't have a job anymore because our boss fired my stars. So what do you want me to say?
What do you want me to say?
Good night, Larry. Thank you so much for keeping us up to date on what's been going on at the Media Scrum. And thank you also to Sam Shipman, who's been keeping us up to date with the Media Scrum as well. So anything that stood out to you guys in the match?
I've really liked Andrade lately.
And that kind of sucks. He's been giving it. He's really been winning me over as he's leaving.
Yeah, as he's leaving, and I'm sure he's going to do great in WWE, which is a bummer because I don't watch it. But
yeah,
but I'm also like, why Miro? I don't. When they were like, oh, his record this year is 6-0 in 2023.
It could have been someone who
wrestled
needed it
6 times.
Yeah, and he's gonna that maybe twice as many times as he wrestles in 2024.
Right.
I really feel like it. The only reason it might be different is he might be helping his wife continue her storyline.
I guess.
He doesn't seem that interested in wrestling these days. Although
he definitely doesn't seem that interested in doing the job. If you take me,
no.
Yeah.
No. I think he's figured out. I don't want to use the word scam, but yeah, I'll use the word scam. He's figured out how to find the sweet spot in his AEW career where he's just valuable enough to be taken care of, but not so important. He figures out how to just push it just enough. And it's if I just stay in shape and come out every 2 months and yell game over and do the same match over and over again. I'm going to stay over and I'm going to have a job and I can stay home and play video games with my hot, flexible wife.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
not the worst scam.
No, not the worst. I mean, good work if you can get it.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, Blackpool Combat Club, Mark Briscoe, Daniel Garcia defeated Brody King, Jay White, Jay Lethal, and Roosh. 17 minutes, 50 seconds. What did you think?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
I thought it was a really fun wrap up to the tournament. And some of the more New Japan, the more New Japan faithful in the Discord were pointing out, oh, this is like classic G1, like last day of G1. You've got the big multi-man task, and it was fun because they would pair off and you'd see like, oh, remember when they had this match, and they would do a little callback to that. And we already talked about it, but I loved that like Garcia got to shine and he got to get the win. That was huge.
I hope he
poor
keeps
Lethal, poor Jay
going.
Lethal. I just feel sad for Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
I don't think Jay minds
more the character.
Being the job.
I think Jay Lethal, the man, is fine with all this. But
by the way, this was the first time Jay Lethal looked old to me, and I hate saying that, but not physically, just like in his beard. He was getting a lot of white.
He's got a little gray.
Of us. Yeah, a little gray. All right. Hook versus Wheeler Yuta. This is I didn't see this one.
That's okay.
Yeah. Imagine.
I'm not dumping
good?
on them. I'm not dumping on them. It's nothing like that. It wouldn't be fair to dump on them for what it's exactly the match that you think it is, that it should be, that it's not. This was not like what I would be like if this was like, oh, they sent you to see Titanic and it was actually The Usual Suspects, I would tell you. But this was not one of those moments. This was exactly what the trailers told you the truth. You knew
you got the whole story.
It's basically imagine a Hook match and insert 2 trash cans and a stop sign.
Yep.
And that was the match.
That sounds right.
Thank you. Yes.
All right.
I did. One thing that I did laugh at though was, they were clearly trying to build to a big spot they played the, I didn't know what this was until someone explained it, but, Yuta comes out and talks trash on the Long Island crowd and gets interrupted by a horn. And I was like,
I expected
to see Hook
coming in an 18-wheeler.
The hockey horn. Yeah, I thought like some 18-wheeler was going to pull up and
thank God they explained it, because once
I missed that explanation.
As soon as Excalibur explained it, it made sense. But it was like, why are they? And I was like, is that a hockey horn?
Yeah,
it's so confusing.
But then so I guess the Islanders play that horn, and so they're clearly playing to the hockey crowd. And then at the end of the match, Hook pulls out a hockey stick and like shows it to the crowd. And like you could tell it was built for like, oh, the hockey people will love this because it's hockey. Hockey people love hockey.
There were so many hockey references in this show.
But then he swung the stick and it like was gimmicked, so it kind of broke in his hand as he swung it, and so he had to hold it together with his hands as he swung it and hit Yuta with it. And he did it enough to where like the crowd was you could tell the crowd was kind of like, all right, that was bad, but we appreciate the effort.
You gave it your best. You gave it your best effort.
Like the crowd was very forgiving.
Almost 2024 crowd, not a 1977 crowd.
Yeah, they were like, it's all right. We'll let you get away with it because you were sucking up to us. So
you guys are so good. You're doing such a good job. You boys.
That was the moment though that I was like, oh no, this show may be cursed.
Okay, so did you think there were some cursed things before that?
Well, there was that Statlander Nightingale match where they just got blown.
They had like a really bad 30 seconds.
Yeah,
in the middle of that match.
I think they just.
I really liked everything else, but that, because they're both doing like power moves.
Yeah,
and they're both clearly trying to one up each other with power moves. And some of them messed up.
It's tough when you think that, like, even you get disappointed when you're like if you're not a starter and you think you should be, you're going to get bummed about that.
Yeah.
And so if you think that you should have been on the main card and you end up on the undercard or the pre-show or whatever, like
literally 90 minutes before the show.
That does have a mental effect on you. I don't care who you are.
I bet it has to, yeah.
And there are two people who are, I mean, they have a story.
Yeah.
That had a story too, just like Julia and, I mean, at least Julia and Abaddon had a story. Thank you. Yay. Wonderful. It wasn't just thrown together.
Right.
But they had a story too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't care who disagrees with me. I loved the Battle Royal. I really loved it.
Really?
It had everything I like in a Battle Royal. Yeah, the 20-man Battle Royal.
I actually was more impressed with it than I thought I would be, because I just was like, okay,
it was just a good basic Battle Royal, and you had everybody attacking Lucha and Lance early, Lucha Switch and Lance, and then of course they come in late, and then Switchosaurus. That's exact. I was trying to remember, and I loved that we had Trent and Danhausen near the end, and they managed to eliminate one, but it didn't quite work on the other because, of course, Danhausen got eliminated quickly by Trent.
I did like that.
Poor Danhausen, but yeah, I don't know, things like that I really liked. And so I really enjoyed the pre-show because of Willow and Chris and Switchosaurus and Beretta. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Fair enough.
All I got on that. Enjoyed it. I'm a mark for Battle Royals for some reason though.
I mean, if they're fun and silly and make sense.
And if everyone's terrible, not so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I've watched more Royal Rumbles than WrestleManias in my life.
Yeah.
That's I don't ever miss.
I only watched one
Royal Rumble.
That. Yeah.
Yep, right there with you. Okay, let's see. And then we kind of talked about Willow and Chris already, so that's the whole card. What was your favorite match? We need answers here, people.
Probably Eddie and Moxley.
I was gonna say I think Eddie and Mox was my favorite for just pure wrestling match.
Yeah.
I think it probably most people is going to come down to Copeland and Christian Cage in that one. And I think, like you said, Mox and Kingston were a pure wrestling match. There was a lot of story there. There was a lot of heart in this one. Yeah, there you go. I think it's all going to come down to those two matches. And I think Adam Copeland and Christian Cage gave us way more than we expected. At least for me, it was way more than I expected.
That in a lot of ways that I almost said that as my favorite just because I had no expectations for it. I thought it'd be boring.
Yeah.
I was really worried because by the time we got to that, I was like, this crowd is kind of like not into this show. And so I just thought back to all those like WWE matches where Edge and Randy Orton had the snooze fests.
Yeah.
I thought, oh man, this is going to be brutal. And so I was really into it. As far as like when I got the most excited, it was probably that match.
No, it ended up being it over delivered for where my expectations were way down. And so for me, it was like, it didn't end up like meh. It actually ended up in the like, that's great. I feel good about how they ended up managing that. Like,
so when they pulled the trigger on the immediate
rematch, cash the Money in the Bank cash in right there.
What was your reaction? Was it like
I fully expected it, but I did not expect Switchosaurus to hand over the bag, basically.
Yeah.
We had like guessed who might win, include because we didn't know this morning when we did our show at 1. We didn't know who was in the 20-man yet. So we had guessed everyone from the possibility of Jack Perry to I mean, even this happening. Although I don't think, but one thing I did realize, I was like, we didn't even think of Luchasaurus.
Yeah.
And when he entered the match, I was like,
oh, well.
Yeah. So we had discussed the possibility of a cash-in, but we had discussed it with a bunch of other people, and Luchasaurus never came up in those, and it was like weird. And I was like, oh yeah, the giant dinosaur who has beef with Christian.
Yeah.
And
That's
part of
what I
me
liked
thought
about
that
it.
he was gonna keep it and actually go maybe with like keep it and give it to Copeland or keep it and defend it on Copeland's behalf. But he in fact did it, hand it over.
I never even thought of him handing it over to Copeland. Didn't think of that at all.
Oh, for half a second, I was like, because Christian's treated him so crappy.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it.
I just always thought he was going to take it.
When he won, I thought, oh, well, you could either have, it didn't spoil the Adam Christian match for me because I thought either way, that's an interesting Dynamite next week.
I thought he was going to run straight to Adam Copeland with it. Yeah. Like, for me, I was like, I'm finally going to get back at my douchebag boss.
Right. So, like, have Christian beat Edge in the match, but then have him come out and give him the rematch so that Edge beats him in the rematch.
At Edge, I thought Luchasaurus to get back at Christian was going to give him the cash in and let him do it.
That would have been pretty
either
good.
now or maybe later on down the road.
Well, now that we've seen the Battle Royal, we know that this is the first pay-per-view in AEW history to have not a single member of the Elite on the card.
I know.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
No Adam, no Hangman, no Kenny, no clearly, no Young Bucks and no
Cody.
No Cody, yeah.
Obviously.
Wow.
Even though he could come back at any day.
It is
with
no
his
Elite Wrestling.
Big work. Yeah, no Elite Wrestling. And I mean, it was great that we managed that they're able to do a card without them. But I was really hoping we'd get Hangman at least.
Me too.
In the Battle Royal.
Yeah, I thought he got if anybody got the short end, that probably Hangman right now.
Yeah. Although maybe he could be very happy at sitting at home.
It's
well,
true.
But if MJF if MJF is out for a bit, which it seems like indications are he's probably going to be gone for a while, just healing up. That may be why they involved Hangman a few weeks back, is so that Adam Cole and his crew have someone to feud with. Is that they're like, hey, we rule wrestling now, and then Hangman Page comes out,
that makes sense.
You got like Hangman Wardlow.
I think it would have to be Wardlow at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Although I heard that Wardlow might hit MJF IRL, and so they're worried he might kick his arse. So.
Oh. Well, he got a pretty good powerbomb on him too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let's see. What was this here? I really like that Adam Copeland won with the kill switch, the disrespect, and then Christian did the same.
Yeah.
So we had 3 kill switches appear in this.
That's true.
In this match, and of course, the shortest match of the night was Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland at 11 seconds.
Wow.
For the second title.
The shortest reigning.
Thank God it wasn't a women's match, because geez.
No, the women. Let's see. 11:35 for Julia Hart. Tony Storm was 11:40, and Willow Chris was 13:25. They all kind of got their time.
That's good time.
Yeah, those are solid times.
Those are really good. I can live with that.
Yeah, there were only a few that were longer. I'm surprised that Miro Andrade was 14:45. Blackpool was 17:50. That 8-man. And then, of course, Copeland Christian was 25 minutes, and the last 2 were 17:50. Like, nobody got that much more time than them other than Adam Copeland, Christian Cage.
I felt like this one was one of the more, like...
evenly distributed?
Timely.
Okay.
Yeah, even, like, it felt more like it had almost a more New Japan timing to it than, I don't know. Sometimes... It's not WWE like, because he doesn't run the packages precisely.
I wish they would find a couple of spots to do that though, because sometimes I just need to go make a sandwich.
Agree. I completely agree. I don't have a like sour spot for. I mean, WWE overdoes it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But I think putting those in there for people that may be just buying the pay-per-view or hanging out with their buddies and trying to get into wrestling.
Right.
I know that's this very tiny little percentage, but It's a small percentage of a small percentage of us who watched in the first place, so we'll take it.
Right.
You remember like a month or maybe a month, maybe 2 months ago? I don't even think it was that far back. We were talking about how supposedly that AEW was about to be going to a more New Japan model. You remember us talking about that?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And here we're talking about, we just saw the AEW version of the G1.
Mm-hmm.
The timing of the matches is much more New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the first major show we've watched where they are doing what we were told they were going to be doing.
They've also started incorporating post-match promos in their content,
which I really
which
like.
I love.
Well, and clearly it's upsetting the apple cart because people are leaving.
Yeah.
And the clearest indication that a company is changing is people leaving, whether it's good or bad.
That's
like,
true.
Sometimes it can mean good, or sometimes it can mean bad, but sometimes it can mean good.
Yeah.
Okay. If this is the new AEW, thumbs up, down, in the middle, where are we at? What do you think? I had way too much trouble doing my thumbs in the middle. I don't know what happened there.
It's difficult, not me. My thumb is like starting to go up again. How about that?
Okay. Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
My meter is trending towards up again, as opposed to, I think the biggest test is going to be making sure they can hang on to the momentum that they built over the last couple months.
Yeah.
Until Revolution, which fortunately isn't that far away, but still is in March.
Okay.
Oh, they still got time to come up with some pay-per-view to launch in between.
Right. Oh, one last. First of all, I'm kind of thumbs in the middle because I'm hoping it keeps going this direction. But I've still been really out on AEW for the last few months. Mm-hmm. It's been increasingly hard to watch, even though I have loved the Continental Classic. My last question though, for the night is, oh my God, I lost in the time it took for me to make that comment. I completely lost what my question was, and it was really good. It was a really good one, I promise. Let me see.
It's a really good question about the era of 2024, and we'll just keep like telling you. We'll throw words at you like wrestling and AEW, and you'll think of it.
It's like Mansoor. I'm like, what?
What? Marseille.
Shoot, I can't remember. I cannot remember it all. I don't think I'm going to get it back. But I really enjoyed this pay-per-view. Even like my falling asleep wasn't due to boredom; it was just due to exhaustion. But what would you rate it, Kevin, on a 5-star scale? And being a 5-star scale, of course, you'd go to 7.
In the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah.
In the Tokyo Dome.
But it was in Long Island, so
right.
I would I like a 3.5, 4. Like good.
I'm kind of right there. I'm 3 3/4.
Okay. Yeah.
And
yeah. I think I'd give it about a 4. Like
okay.
Only because, and the only reason I give it the extra quarter or half is because I really didn't need this pay-per-view. I wasn't like interested in this pay-per-view. Until the last couple weeks was like, God, I have to buy another pay-per-view. And then when I actually got within the week of it and stuff, and this, I was like, oh, and we did our show this morning. We did the pre-show. I was like,
the pre-show.
Yeah, the pre-show. Mm-hmm. I was like, no, I'm into this. This is a good, and it's the right time. Like tomorrow's New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I did like that timing.
Yeah,
this could be a real fun thing to have as part of this holiday. That weird space in between Christmas and New Year's, and all the weird, like if you're a New Japan fan and Noah, like there's a bunch of those shows coming up in the next few days. But I like it. It's in a good spot. I hope that
I really
and I like the culmination of the tournament at it. I think that
I do too.
I think that needs to be. I like the idea that that's the culminating factor, and then that the big show for the big belt is the all out show. No, it's All In, and so in Wembley basically is your Wrestle Kingdom.
I love the idea. I think it was Chris Sampson, maybe it was Muse that suggested moving the Continental Classic, swapping the Continental Classic and the Owen.
Yeah.
And doing the Continental Classic in the spring, and the winner gets the all-in title shot.
I love that.
I love that.
Oh,
idea.
yeah. That's a great idea.
Especially with Ospreay's in it next year.
Because they could put the Owen into the holidays, which would actually be nicer, because it would kind of like the holiday spirit and the whole things around that. That might make like having the Owen, which is more of a ceremonial tournament than an actual driving force tournament.
Yeah.
That might actually make a lot more sense, where you put the C2 in the spring and put the Owen at the holidays, where you're thinking about family and giving and donating to the Heart Foundation. And
yeah, good point.
You know, they did a good job with having a very depleted roster. I think the biggest miss was booking Swerve with Keith in the first place, because that feels so old and so dated. And when Swerve is so hot right now, and then the fact that they have to know Keith has been wrestling injured or depleted, they should have had someone better set up for Swerve, even if you just had to go back to one more with Adam Page. It would still be a big match, even though we've seen it. I don't know. They did a good job with what they had, I think, other than that one misstep.
And they finally pulled the trigger on the thing they've been teasing for months and months. So
we've got, thank God we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
Finally,
exactly. Oh, one thing, since we had no new WWE signings appear on this show, do you think there are going to be any this time around? Because they all were all legal to use as of December 22nd.
I expected somebody. I didn't know who.
I expected somebody, yeah.
I expected someone to show up.
And we got no one.
I was hoping. I expected, but was hoping. I was cautiously optimistic that they wouldn't, because I feel like they've got a lot going on and they don't need.
They have a bloated roster as is.
They haven't traded anybody out for the new people they've got already, really.
Right.
I mean, even that 20-man kind of showed it. Was like, when was the last time you saw? I mean, we've seen Kip Sabian like 3 years or 3 times this year. Like,
and each time I've liked him so much more than I used to like him.
Feels like he's hitting more than he was, and they could use that.
I personally love Dark Order, and I don't watch ROH. I don't have time to watch it, so this is the first time I've seen them in forever, and I barely saw them.
Yeah.
And they're pretty active on ROH because Sam covers it. So, I mean, they seem to be, so they get their time, but I don't know.
Well, looking forward, we have a full female roster right now with all these people coming back. I really hope Britt comes back as well. And I really hope this is the year of the female division, because I've liked everything I've seen lately. So many people have grown so much. I really wonder if it's still Dustin that's helping to train everybody. But I would love to know more about the behind the scenes on that sort of thing. Who helped Julia Hart get from where she was to here? I'm really curious about that sort of thing. But we have gone almost 2 hours. So from me, from Sam, from Kevin Ely, have a great time, everybody.
Sam.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. You know what? We're thanking Sam anyway. She's been in the chat. Let's
I don't mind.
As well. From me, the Power Bombshells, and Kevin Ely and Larry Sternshine. Have a great one, everybody. Hope to see you back here again next weekend.